It was so much more than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to go and just have this really fun time with some friends. Seeing the cranes, it just took our breath away. You know, I expected to see like 500 cranes, and we saw several thousand cranes. And it just was phenomenal. It was breathtaking and amazing and just more than I really thought it could be.
One of the most incredible things is that you arrive out there very early in the morning. It's dark, and as the sun starts to come up, which is magnificent all by itself, but you see these islands out there on the river. As the sun gets higher and higher, they're not really islands. They're thousands of cranes huddled together, and they all start waking up and making that noise. It's beautiful.
Wonder of what Tony and Cassandra are describing is what the National Geographic has called one of the greatest wildlife phenomena in North America, the spring migration of the Sandhill crane. They come, as they have for thousands of years, to this stretch of the Platte River in central Nebraska. There's really no other place like it in the world. This small piece of river, which is often either ignored or abused, has everything they need to sustain their migration. The shallow waters of the Platte River for roosting and safety at night, wet meadows for feeding during the day, and the largest piece of continuous tall grass prairie in the state of Nebraska. I'm reminded of what Norman McLean famously said, "Eventually, all things merge together and the river runs through it." Please sit back, relax, and imagine yourself on the wings of the great Sandhill crane migration. Cranes are drawn each spring from their wintering grounds in the south to return to their breeding grounds in the north. All told, more than 500,000 cranes will come together for 3 or 4 weeks on this narrow stretch of the Platte River, resting and feeding and adding as much as 20% of their total body weight to complete their journey to Canada, Alaska, and even Siberia. For some, it's a 5,000-mile journey.
I always wonder, how animals communicate. That's my little thing. So it was fun to see them. They do this dance and kind of imagining, are they communicating about where they are and when they're taking off and how they take off in groups? We had the experience where we actually got to see one whooping crane. So that was very cool.
It's just an amazing experience. I can't believe that we lived in Nebraska as long as we did, and it took us until a couple of years ago to go out and see the cranes. It's wonderful.
You sit there and as the birds start to wake up and the noise that they make, and you get to, there's a lot of time for thoughts and reflections and things of that nature, and you realize just how blessed we are.
It was magical. I took my staff out to see the cranes on Friday night, and then on Saturday I brought my daughter and some of her friends out to see the cranes. It was fun to watch their faces as they saw this just amazing migration happen.
There's nothing that can compare to actually being there. Even though we have a great book and pictures of our own trip, it's just one of those things you got to be there and do it.
I became a lover of cranes, and that has opened me up to other environmental issues and, other migrations. I started reading more and studying more, and I think I'm a crane lover now for life.
The first time I saw the migration, I really didn't understand what I'd been missing. I knew there were cranes that came to Nebraska, but I really didn't understand what they were doing. It wasn't until I sat in a crane truss blind down on the river that I really understood the wonder and the magnitude of what was occurring right before our eyes. For me, it was a life-changing event. And it's with that experience in mind, the Crane Trust has continued its efforts, as it has for 30 years, to protect and maintain this vital ecosystem along the Platte. Our hope is that it can remain the way it was when the first Europeans stepped foot in the region. It's not just an ecosystem, it's part of our history.